Welcome to another Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into what is shaping up to be the most massive, mathematically complex, and downright unpredictable World Cup in the history of the beautiful game. I mean, the 2026 FIFA World Cup is already shattering records, totally defying predictions, and causing a massive stir both on and off the pitch. So, let's get right into it.
104. That single number perfectly captures the sheer unprecedented scale of this tournament. We are talking about 104 total matches being played. To put that into perspective for you, that is 40 more matches than the 2022 edition in Qatar. It's an absolute marathon of football.
Section 1. The biggest World Cup ever, a tournament of firsts across North America.
This really is a tournament of massive firsts. For starters, it's being hosted by 3 nations, Canada, Mexico, and the USA, spread all the way across 16 different host cities. We've got a wildly expanded 48-team format this time, broken down into 12 groups of 4. And because of this massive expansion, FIFA had to introduce a brand new round of 32 knockout phase. So what's the big takeaway here? Whoever actually lifts that trophy in July will have had to survive 8 grueling matches. That's one more than Argentina did in 2022. It is literally the ultimate test of endurance.
Section 2. How the format evolved, from 13 teams to 48.
Okay, let's look at how we got to this behemoth. If you look at the history, there's been this steady growth. Way back in the inaugural 1930 tournament, just 13 teams competed. By 1954, it formalized into a 16-team format. Then, 1998 in France was a huge milestone. They expanded to the 32-team system, which became the gold standard for over 2 decades. And now, 2026 takes a historic leap to 48 teams, letting more nations experience the magic of the World Cup than ever before.
Just a quick fun detour before we get into the heavier stuff. Did you know that back in 1966, the actual World Cup trophy was stolen right before the tournament? It was miraculously sniffed out a week later by a very good boy, a dog named Pickles. Honestly, you can't make this stuff up. But, while Pickles saved the day back then, today's off-pitch dramas are a whole lot more complex.
Section 3. Controversies off the pitch. The debates overshadowing the games.
With an event of this magnitude, we're seeing several high-profile debates playing out off the field. There are ongoing geopolitical tensions between the US and Iran, which have directly affected Iran's travel logistics and their choice of training bases. On top of that, reports show that Somali referee Omar Abdelkader Artan was denied entry to the US and subsequently removed from the roster. Then there's scrutiny from some observers regarding FIFA President Gianni Infantino's political neutrality, specifically pointing to his relationship with Donald Trump. And looking at environmental and player welfare concerns, scientists have warned of intense 40°C heat. This prompted FIFA to mandate hydration breaks, which naturally sparked its own debate among coaches about whether it interrupts the natural rhythm of the game.
All of these logistical hurdles lead us to a very real, pressing question. With the sheer scale and massive commercialization of this tournament, is the event becoming less accessible to the ordinary fan?
Well, just take a look at this staggering number. Reports indicate that resale tickets for the World Cup final have been listed for as much as 1.97 crore Indian rupees. It's astronomical. And it doesn't stop there. Local travel costs are absolutely surging. For instance, rail fares in places like New Jersey skyrocketed during tournament periods. The financial hurdles for the everyday fan to just go and watch a match are frankly higher than ever.
Section 4. New rules and red cards, changing the game on the field.
All right, let's zoom in from the macro logistics to what's happening right there on the grass, because FIFA has introduced new rules that are completely changing the dynamic. There's a brand new mouth-covering regulation. Basically, players can no longer cover their mouths to hide what they're saying to opponents or officials from the broadcast cameras. And we've already seen history made because of it. Paraguay's Miguel Almiron received a straight red card after a VAR review simply for covering his mouth during an altercation against Turkey. The referees are absolutely not messing around with this one.
And here's another massive shift that is fundamentally changing group stage strategies. Under the old system, if teams were tied on points, overall goal difference was your primary tiebreaker. Simple, right? Well, the new system actually prioritizes head-to-head results between the tied teams. Now, while supporters say this really rewards direct competition, critics argue it completely ignores a team's overall performance across the entire group stage. And let me tell you, it's already creating some incredibly tense, nail-biting qualification scenarios.
Section 5. Predicting the 2026 champion.
the math behind the beautiful game.
So, with all this chaos, a bloated 48-team field, and new tiebreakers, can anyone actually predict who will win the whole thing? Well, academics are stepping up to try and tame this unpredictability using data. First, they analyze 6 months of historical ELO rating changes, which essentially tracks a team's true, shifting strength over time. Then, they use a technique called sufficient dimension reduction, which is really just a fancy way of saying they filter out all the noise to find the most important predictive patterns. Next, they feed that clean data into a statistical model to predict exact goal-scoring rates. And finally, the big one, they run 5,000 Monte Carlo simulations, meaning they play out the entire tournament virtually, 5,000 times just to see who comes out on top.
And after running those 5,000 simulations, the results are genuinely fascinating. Despite the massive, chaotic field of 48 teams, the data clearly points to 3 heavyweights. Spain leads the pack with a 16.6% chance of winning, closely followed by the defending champions Argentina at 16.1% and France right there at 13.7%. So what the predictive models are basically telling us is that while the format is entirely new and much bigger, the traditional powerhouses are still the heavy favorites.
Section 6. History in the making. Records broken and giants slain.
Because as any true football fan knows, data just can't account for everything. Let's step away from the spreadsheets and look at the real-life human drama unfolding on the pitch right now. The history books are actively being rewritten. Lionel Messi just cemented his legacy as the all-time leading goal scorer in World Cup history. With a recent hat-trick against Algeria and a brace against Austria, Messi now sits alone at the very top with an incredible 18 World Cup goals, surpassing Germany's legendary Miroslav Klose. But don't look away, because France's Kylian Mbappe has already tied Klose at 16 goals. The momentum is absolutely electric.
4-time world champions Germany just got absolutely humiliated by a team nobody expected. Germany thought they had it easy when Leroy Sané scored a blistering goal in under 2 minutes, but Ecuador refused to back down, scripting one of the greatest comebacks in World Cup history. Here's the trivia casual fans missed. This was Ecuador's first ever international win against Germany. Even crazier, it exposed a massive curse. Germany has now failed to keep a clean sheet in 9 straight World Cup games, a tragic record dating back to 2014. Gonzalo Plata poked home the winner in the 77th minute to seal a legendary 2-1 victory, punching Ecuador's ticket straight into the round of 32. Is Germany officially washed, or can they still win the tournament? Drop your hot take right now. Will the academic data accurately predict the final winner, or is this expanded World Cup destined for pure, unadulterated chaos? Let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.